So just to give you one of the things I want to understand is if we are looking at the purity constraints for water, I mean we have most people know the regular potable water, the water that you use for drinking. Okay, typically, even if you have an RO system. Okay, so if we just take one parameter, which is dissolved salts, all right. Can you give us a comparison between the drinking water, what is the ppm or whichever parameter we measure it, all the way to say industrial boilers, process boilers, and then ultimately the pinnacle being the power boilers.
So if you talk about, because you talked about drinking water, so I would start with that. So whenever you buy drinking water, you ask for mineral water.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go and buy a bottle of mineral water, and if you see, there are some essential minerals required for our body, including sodium, calcium, because our bones made up of calcium. And exactly these all minerals you don't want for a boiler. Okay, so if you put take example of calcium, calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonates are actually major constituents of hardness of the water, which can cause scaling. So because as soon as you convert water into steam, solubility of water goes down and it starts rejecting out any solids, hardness causing salts like calcium carbonate or magnesium carbonate, and they deposit. And they are a very bad conductor of heat also. So indirectly it reduces thermal efficiency of boiler, and at the same time there can be issues like below deposits there are corrosions. Okay, so a lot of other issues are starting. So
they can act as nucleation sites for corrosion.
Yeah, and hotspots.
Yeah.
So locally metal is heated at local areas and locally it fails. So a lot of issues can start with that. So necessarily, whether it's a small boiler or large boiler or whatever pressure it is, ideally you don't want any salts which are causing hardness.
Right.
Okay. So if you talk about process boilers, they use generally softeners. Because they don't want to invest a lot in water treatment, because their investment in boiler itself is very small.
Right.
So they go for a softener where they try to take care of only hardness causing salt. But as you increase pressure of the boiler, and if you go to water tube boilers and particularly power boilers where we are talking pressures above 200 and 300 bars, there people go for a water tube boilers, and at that point you cannot even afford to enter a smallest hardness causing salt in a boiler tube, because if it's scaled, you need to actually cut out boiler tube and do something like bypass surgery for a human. Okay, so it's very, very important that conductivities, because what we do, any dissolved salts, we can measure in terms of conductivity.
Right.
Okay, so even TDS we can measure based on conductivity measurement.
Right.
So when you talk about drinking water, on one hand, you will see TDS levels are quite high in ppm sometimes. Whereas when you talk about boiler feed water, we are talking about power boilers which are operating at a conductivity level less than 10 microsiemens per centimeter. So it's as good as ultra pure water.
Okay, so that will be calculated. The value will be in ppb in that case. Is that right?
Yeah, even PPT. I would say there are no even traces of any solids or any dissolved impurities. Right. So at the outlet of demineralization plant, conductivity levels falls below 1 microsiemens per centimeter. It means ideal water or ultra pure water without any dissolved impurities has a conductivity of 0.05 microsiemens per centimeter. So you can imagine we are operating between 0.05 microsiemens per centimeter and 1 microsiemens per centimeter.
Right.
So it's a small zone.
Okay.
So as pure water you need for a high pressure boilers. And as you are going for a ultra supercritical and supercritical boiler where you don't have a drums, so you cannot effectively take a lot of blowdowns and take out any impurities once they enter into boiler. So you need to take care of these right in the feed water and condensate level itself, where we put it back as a water.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Actually, because this is an overlay on the existing system, right? So this is a precautionary system to ensure the performance as well as longevity and uptime of the principal system.
Correct.
Yeah.